Hi. Yes, I'm still at home. This is my 5th day at home. There'll probably be at least 10 more days here. I wish I were out on the trail, but while I'm here, I'm going to fill you in on a few things that I haven't talked about yet or haven't talked about much. The topic for today is different ways to do the pilgrimage. This is of particular importance to me now because I'm having to modify my plans due to my leg injury. There are a couple of basic ways to do the pilgrimage that people talk about. The one that most people think of when they think of the pilgrimage is what's called in Japanese jun-uchi, which means doing the whole thing as a circuit. You start usually at number 1 and go to number 88 and then back to number 1. That's jun-ichi. You can also do it in reverse order. Start at 1, go to 88, and then count down back to number 1, which is called gyaku-uchi. Now that's basically thinking about walking, but a lot of people don't walk. In fact, most people who do the pilgrimage, probably well over 90%, do it on bus tours. The bus tours can start anywhere, as you can when you're walking, but they'll take in all the temples sooner or later. Some people will go by bicycle, which is wonderful. A lot of people will go by car. Probably somewhere between 5 and 10% of the people who do the pilgrimage do it either in their own car or by hiring a taxi. By the way, the taxi drivers and the bus drivers and the bus guides are the ones who've obviously done the pilgrimage the greatest number of times. I've seen some people who have their name slips showing they've done the pilgrimage hundreds of times. Presumably they're taxi drivers, bus drivers, and guides. But not everybody is going to do the pilgrimage all at once. You can do the pilgrimage in segments. Sometimes there are certain logical segments that you can do. Sometimes the segments depend on what your time is. The first time I visited all the temples, I usually don't call it doing a pilgrimage. I visited on sometimes a one-day trip or a weekend trip or a long weekend and spring vacation. There are certain logical segments, like for me, I started off doing a logical segment from Temple 1 to Temple 17 because I live near Temple 17, and then I continued from there. One of the most popular kinds of logical segment ways to do the pilgrimage is by prefecture. Japanese prefectures are like American states. There are 4 prefectures on this island. In fact, that's the name of the island, Shikoku. Shi is the Japanese word for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And koku actually means country, but you can think of that also as prefecture. In fact, if you think about the Jane Austen book, Pride and Prejudice, they talk repeatedly about going to another country or leaving the country, meaning Hertfordshire or Hampshire, whichever county they're talking about. So ikoku mairi means doing one prefecture at a time. Maybe that's how I'm going to end up doing it this spring. I really don't know. I'll see how my leg feels when I get back on the trail in a couple of weeks. I've done the Fudasho, the numbered temples for Tokushima Prefecture, where I live. So I could go down to Kochi in 10 days or 2 weeks, do the Kochi temples, then come back for a rest, then go out and do the Ehime temples, then come back for a rest, then finally do the Kagawa temples, which would bring me to Temple 88, and then I would come back to Temple 1 back in Tokushima. Or maybe I'll be able to just start where I left off and go around the island. I'm thinking very much of taking buses a few times. There are 2 places where there are about 80 kilometers between temples and a couple other places where there are 30 or 40, and it's possible to take buses to cover that distance. That saves typically about, well, I shouldn't say typically. I was hoping to do 25 to 30 kilometers a day. I don't know if I'll be able to do that the next couple of months. I'll see how how the leg recovers. But I can certainly cut a week or 10 days off of the total time for the pilgrimage. Just the other night I met somebody who had done the whole pilgrimage basically that way, walking most of the time but taking buses or trains for those few long stretches. She said it took her 30 days, which makes sense because the normal time for walkers who are able to put in good long days just about every day is anywhere from 40 to 45 days. So I will keep up with the postings. I'll tell you what my hopes are, and I'll fill in more about history of Buddhism or Buddhism as it's practiced in Japan, more about the pilgrimage. Please keep commenting. I've had some nice comments, but I'd love more comments. Comment below, and as always, please remember, subscribe, and also tell your friends. I'd like to be talking to more and more people as we go along. Thanks. See you tomorrow or the next day.